Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed building video. So in today's video, as you can probably tell from the title, I'm going to be building a base game family house. Now, I haven't actually done a limited pack build or even a base game build in what feels like the longest time. I went through a little phase where I did quite a few, and now I've just kind of stopped and I haven't done any. And I figured, since Island Living is coming out on Friday, which by the way I'm so excited for, but since that's coming out, and I'm probably going to have my next couple of builds just be all Island Living, or maybe the majority of them. I think I might do a few in between just so it's not all the same kind of content, but I'm not completely sure. But either or, I still wanted to do a base game build because I can appreciate a lot of people don't have the majority of the packs, and also a lot of people might not even be getting Island Living. Maybe it's not everyone else's cup of tea, and so I just wanted to build something that everyone can download if they want to. So like always, you can download this on the gallery. My origin ID is JessicapieYT, or you can just search for the hashtag JessicapieYT or just the hashtag Jessicapie, and then you can find this build this way. You will need to turn move objects on though. I use that cheat in every single one of my builds, and I just want to make sure if you do download it that you do turn it on, only because where I do use it, if you download this and it's not on, then a couple of things might be in some weird places and it might look a little bit strange. So if you do want to download this, make sure that you turn that cheat on. But moving on to the build, as you can kind of see, I've already done the main structure of the build, and basically I didn't actually have an idea what this is going to look like. I just started building like squares and rectangles and made it into a house. So I didn't actually have a reference picture or anything like that. I just kind of went off what was in my head, and I think you can kind of see that a little bit because I do switch out the windows a few times and change it here and there. But ultimately the main structure of the build is done now. This house is actually a 3-bedroom and 3-bathroom house, although it actually sleeps 5 Sims. So I did something in this house which I never actually tend to do, and I always want to do it but I always just forget to do it, and that is to make kind of like a twin room. So it's got 2 separate beds in it, so 2 Sims could sleep in that room, because I feel like a lot of the time I do builds, or I say a lot of the time I do, a lot of the time I just build rooms just for like a single sim or something, and I never actually make any Sims share. And as I am a builder that likes to make it look as realistic as possible, so I like to bring as much realism into my builds as possible. Everyone knows that I love a little bit of clutter. I love cluttering up hallways and tight tables and all different sorts of areas that I can. I figured that it's actually a little bit more realistic to have a few more houses to actually have shared bedrooms. So sometimes children don't always have their own rooms. Sometimes people share rooms, and so I actually want you to do that in this build. If you don't want 5 Sims in this house and you just want the 4, or you just want 3, maybe you've got a single parent living here, then obviously you can just delete that other bed. But I thought it would be a nice little thing to do, and it's something different. I haven't done that in a really long time. It feels like I think I've only ever done it like once or twice, which is insane because I've been making speed builds for so long and I haven't actually done that much. I know I have done it before, I think maybe like once, but it's something that I never really tend to do basically. And so this house does sleep 5 Sims, but obviously if you want 3 Sims you can have 3 Sims instead and just delete the extra bed, or you might just want like a single parent or whatever. You can do whatever you want. But moving on to landscaping, as you can kind of see, obviously where I use base game, I wasn't able to use any romantic garden stuff, and I actually struggled just a little bit because romantic garden stuff is one of my favorite stuff packs, and that is just because it's got so many beautiful flowers in, and I feel like with base game builds I do miss them quite a lot. But I am really happy with the landscaping anyway as it turned out. I use a mixture of different colours. I didn't actually stick to any kind of colour palette. I just kind of went what I thought looked nice, and you do only see me landscape the front of the house. I did the back of the house off camera because I felt like it's a bit too repetitive, and otherwise it will just literally be me putting the same plants just in a different format, and so I decided to cut that out. But moving on to kind of back to like just building the house, as you can kind of see, I'm struggling so hard to put these lights up, and in real time this took me a really long time to try and get these little lights on top of the pillars so they don't actually clip to them. They clip to, I think it's the foundation that these lights clip to, and so I struggled so hard trying to get them to the exact same height and the exact same distance, but like beneath the pillar and the light, and it was a real struggle, but in the end I did it and I'm really happy with it. And I actually like doing that quite often in my builds, just because I think it looks really, really nice and just really welcoming as well, having some little lights just as you walk up the little staircase. I just think it's so beautiful. But now I'm just putting on them, I don't even know what they're called, they're the little things that you can put over a wall, and they're kind of like, I don't know what they're called, but you saw what I just did, and I will learn the name of them one day. I believe they begin with like an S, spandrels I think they're called. I'm not completely sure, so I never say it, but I added them, and I actually had a bit of a difficulty choosing which one I wanted to use. I'm not actually sure if we're getting any more in Friday's, well, I say Friday's update, Friday's new game pack, which is releasing, which I'm so excited for. I'm not sure if we're going to get any more, but I would like some more, because I've realised with the base game ones, there isn't actually just like a plain modern one. It's all very kind of fancy looking ones, and I would like a more plainer one. So I did settle with a plain one. I did kind of debate which ones I wanted to use at first, but I just settled with one of the plain ones. But moving on to the garden, as you can kind of see, like I said, I've done the landscaping, and I did actually put a pool in this garden. Now I do want to mention that I actually built this today, which is Tuesday, so I'm pre-recording this for tomorrow, but I built this literally about an hour before the patch update came out, and then I realised that the patch update was coming out soon, and I was kind of hitting my head, because even though we wasn't getting a ton of new items, we still was getting new items. And unfortunately the lounge chairs that we do get in the patch update aren't in this build, but if you want to, you can just add them in. There is plenty of space for them. I just didn't have the patch update at this point, and so they aren't in this build. But like I said, if you like them, you can just add them in. But in the garden, we just have like a little monkey bars, we have a little barbecue area. We do also have quite a lot of like planters around. I have these 4 big planters which hold 4 small plants or 4 trees, and then up here on the porch I do actually add some single little planters as well, which can hold either 3 trees or just 3 separate plants. Anyway, they are the smaller ones, and I just thought that maybe the sim or sims that live in this house could really be into gardening, as there is so many planters. And when I was watching this, I was actually thinking that one of the parents could really be into cooking or baking and kind of gardening or whatever they want to do. That's just kind of what I envisioned. And when I was actually building this, I was actually watching the Great British Bake Off, if I can speak, the Great British Bake Off, which, if you haven't seen it, is the most amazing program. It is so good. I've only recently started watching it, and I'm now obsessed with it. I literally watched so many episodes as I was building this, and it kind of inspired me, as it is all around baking and making these perfect kind of scones and biscuits and all these different kind of things. I was thinking that maybe, as the kitchen in this house is quite big, that one of the parents could really be into baking, and they love baking all different kinds of pies and cakes, and that's just kind of what I envisioned. Obviously you don't have to go with that, you can do whatever you want with this build, but that was the kind of backstory that I had for one of the parents, that they just love gardening and they love baking and they just love all that kind of homey stuff. But moving on and actually speaking about the interior of the build, so as always I did do the wallpapering and flooring off camera, even though I still had like limited choices, because obviously there wasn't as many wallpapers and floors. I still struggle to figure out which ones I'm going to use, but in the end I just went with my classical base game wooden floor, which I absolutely love, and I feel like I use this in all my houses, but it is my favourite. And I actually went for a wallpaper in the kitchen. Now, I never put wallpapers in kitchens. I don't know why it is, but I just never tend to do it. But in this house, I just felt like it suited it. I used these base game really nice dark brown counters, and I felt like with this beige wallpaper, it just went so well. I also use this wallpaper basically throughout the rest of the downstairs, and I believe I also use it in the upstairs hallway and then the parents' bedroom as well. But the only other rooms that are in the downstairs that don't actually use this wallpaper is the bathroom and the office, because I still kind of wanted to switch up a little bit, but I still wanted to use this wallpaper as much as I could possible. But now moving on to the lounge room. So the lounge room is basically as you walk in through the front door. So you would have seen me do the floor plan, and I did actually create this little porch area, and I thought it'd be nice for your Sims to just kind of come in and have like a separate porch to like the lounge room, so it's separated but it's not too separated, and I just really like that. So as you walk in through that little porch where you have the lounge area, and it's just this really nice welcoming lounge. I use these base game sofas, which are probably my favourite base game sofas, apart from the 3-seater, I believe it's called the hipster sofa, which I absolutely love. But The only thing that with that sofa is it only comes in 3 swatches, and it only comes in one 3-seater. There's no like 2-seater or a single swatch of it, or like not a single swatch, a single armchair of it. And so instead I decided to use these kind of, I believe they're country style or kind of like farmhouse style, which they are my close second favourite. I absolutely love them. But now I'm moving on to just kind of like the little porch area, and I just wanted there to be somewhere for your Sims to put their boots and their scarves and their hats and their coats and throw their keys on the table, and just like a little place like that. And I could have just had this like an open area, but I felt like it's just so much more welcoming and just so much like nicer being like a little porch. And so that's why I decided to add this little porch. It's not something that I typically ever tend to do, but I do it in where I feel it kind of would be beneficial and just look better. So I decided to do it in this house. But now moving on to the dining room. So in the dining room, this is probably my favorite room in the house, which actually surprised me because I don't really like these chairs which I use, but I feel like when I put them down, I wasn't too sure about them, but as I went around the room and just decorated it some more and added some more, just some more pictures and decorations, and just gave it another like personal touch, I actually really love this room, and it is one of my favorite ones in the house. And one of the things I love the most is these big windows all across the wall, which I think are so beautiful. This is built in Willow Creek, and it's built on the empty lot near where the pancakes live. I don't know what that neighborhood is called, and I actually watched the Sim Supply video not too long ago, and he did like a quiz on the Sims, and apparently Willow Creek, the neighborhood, still have names, but I don't know how anyone would actually know them names. But this is built in kind of like the pancakes area, so if you're familiar with the world, then you'll know where the pancakes live. This is built on the empty lot in their kind of little district kind of area, and so them windows just look right out onto kind of like a little lake, and I just think it's so beautiful. But moving on into the kind of like little study room, I wanted there to be kind of like a family computer, and so I just made this into kind of like an activity room. So in here there's just like a bookcase, there's a little desk. I put a little like postcard thing as well above the desk, which I think was just so cute. And I also do add a little bar. But now I'm moving on, I'm already upstairs and doing the bathroom. So in here, this house, like I mentioned, has 3 bathrooms, but I only show the furnishing of one because it's literally the same objects but just in different kind of placements. And so I just felt like it would be really boring, and I always do this anyway. But in here I decided to go for kind of like a creamy theme, which I don't normally typically ever tend to do, but I actually really like it in this one. And I actually just pulled out one of my saved rooms, which is basically just a load of debug menu items, which by the way, I think I've explained this before in a few of my videos, but what it basically is I went into the debug menu one day and just pulled out a load of different debug menu items that I typically tend to go for, and then I placed them into kind of like little boxes, saved them as rooms, and then whenever I'm building I can just access them really quickly. Even though I did have the debug menu open when I was building this, I just still didn't want to sit there and just scroll through when I knew that I had that saved room. And so I just pulled that saved room out and just got like a load of kind of like toiletries and like little spray bottles. Maybe it's like the toilet cleaner or something like that, and I just thought it would be really realistic. But moving on from that, as you can kind of see, I'm already doing the parents' bedroom. Now in this bedroom I do actually have an ensuite. Now I didn't actually do that when I was doing the floor plan. When I actually came around and doing the wallpapering for this lot, I decided that I wanted there to be an extra bathroom, just because if you do decide to use this house for 5 Sims, then I thought like 2 toilets wasn't really enough, and so I did give the parents a little ensuite, which it's the exact same items like I said, just in a different format, and it's just a lot smaller. I think in there I just have a single shower though, instead of the bath and shower duo like I do in the other bathrooms. But moving on from that, as you can kind of see, I'm already furnishing the other bedroom. So this bedroom I kind of imagine would be for a teenager, and so that's why I put a double bed in here. And when I actually pulled this bed out, I forgot about this swatch, and I just kind of wish that all the beds that we could have in the game had the same swatches, because this bed cover swatch, duvet cover, whatever you want to call it, is so beautiful. And this certain bed has some really good nice swatches on it, but I just kind of wish that we could have them on other beds as well. I haven't used this bed in a really long time, and so I forgot about all these different amazing swatches, and I actually kind of had a hard time picking which one I wanted to go for, but I decided to go for this kind of blue one with hints of little yellow leaves, which I just thought was so beautiful. But now moving on to the last bedroom in the house. So this is kind of like the shared bedroom or the twin bedroom. So in here, as you can kind of see, I just have 2 single beds, and I have this little bedside table in between them, and I just think it looks so cute having these 2 beds and then just one one single bedside table. I just really like the look of it. I know it's one of the little small things, but I just think it goes really, really nicely. I did decide to make this room into a children's bedroom because I felt like it would be more realistic to have 2 children to be sharing a room rather than 2 teenagers, and so I kind of wanted to make this into kind of like the little kids room. And so in here I just have a load of different kind of kid items and kid toys. I use a little scientific table which I quite often forget about, and I try not to use it as often because it doesn't come in the nicest swatch. I believe it only comes in like literally one swatch, and I kind of wish that we got that object in a few more packs, but just kind of in like a different way that the object is shown, if that makes any sense. So the little drawing table, we've got that in a few packs, but it's literally the same object but just kind of decorated differently. It does the same kind of, it functions the same, but it just kind of looks different. I kind of wish that we got that for the scientific table because it isn't the most attractive piece of like kids toys or piece of furniture, whatever you want to call it. But now moving on, I'm just doing this little desk area, and I actually merged 2 bookcases into this one little single table. Now this table, there's a desk version and a table version. I use the table version because that way then I kind of knew that I was able to have 2 chairs, and I kind of wanted it just because I wanted something behind the desk and I wanted these little shelves, and I just thought it would be really nice if I just have this little bookcase. Obviously it's not a functional object, I just kind of did it for more of a look than a purpose, but I just do clutter this up with loads of different debug menu items, and I just think it looks so beautiful. But I am now just finishing this room off. I do just add a little toy box just right next to the desk, and then I add this little circular rug in between both the beds, and I just think it's so beautiful and just completely ties the room together. But now I'm actually going to move on and just furnish a little hallway section because I felt like it was a little bit bare and I wanted it to seem more lived in than it was. But anyway guys, I'm actually going to end this voice over here. As always, I hope you enjoyed watching me build this big base game family house, and as always, if you do like my content then please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedbuilding video. Bye guys.